Did y'all listen to it? Did y'all listen to the album?
I did.
I'm ready to give like a proper take.
Actually.
Yeah, I'm ready to give a proper take about it.
Okay. I would like to go last.
Okay.
Let me go first. I'm usually safest.
No, you're not. Yo, when the
Not
camera
about
wasn't
Beyonce,
on last
bro.
week, you was ready to
That's
heat it
why.
up.
I was ready to heat it up, but
yeah.
the song that I listened to last week when I was on mute was My Rose. And I made that face at first because it caught me off guard because of the album that, we all thought that it was going to be. I was like, oh, shit, this is not what I was expecting to hear. And then the second song that I clicked on that same night was Spaghetti. So I was very confused because if you guys heard the album, those are very much two not... I mean, one of them is an interlude, and the other song is not country at fucking all. Yeah. So I was very surprised when I first heard those songs. But then I started the album, and then, American Requiem. It was all right. I guess that's when it was like, country's not really my thing. I think I said that it sounded like it would be the closing song rolling during the credits during a Disney Western starring an all-female black leads directed by Spike Lee. That would be the song that would be playing during the credits. Take that as you may. Yeah. It was all right. The first half was all right. It kicked up for me towards the tail end. When we got like Jolene, Daughter, what's it called? The Miley Cyrus song I liked. I hated the Post Malone song. What else was there? Yeah, this is the tail end so much. I'm not gonna go back to this album too much. I have maybe 6-7 songs that I like on here. Not for me in terms of country, but it sounds good. Like I was actually able to listen to the album a few times over. So I don't know if I'd be able to say that about any other country album. So, quote unquote country album. She says there's no genre to this album according to her. But it was cool. If I had to give it out of 10, it'd be like a 6.5.
So you wouldn't buy it, basically? Because I remember I told y'all that I think we should start talking about albums as if, will we buy it or will we not? Streaming is one thing, but buying it is another. Okay.
I buy a couple singles. There's some bops on here that I like.
Cool. So I'll go next and say that originally I wasn't gonna listen to this album because I've also been very vocal about the fact that country music really is not for me. I have a couple things that I appreciate, some of the classics like Country Rose, I think an American song, Horse with No Name, like stuff like that. Like I have a very specific taste in certain country songs, but I don't think I've ever listened to an entire country album like front to back. And the closest I ever got a couple years ago might have been like Casey Musgraves, but that was more like pop country-ish, that I don't even think that really counts as much. But I wasn't gonna listen, and then I was like on a long drive and I said, let me just turn it on. Let me see what's happening, right? Went in expecting to kind of skip through it. But also wanted to give it the right respect to kind of listen through and actually give it a full chance. So that being said, I did skip around towards the later part of the album, but it really kicked up for me around the end of Texas Hold'em. Like when that whole I think there's some instrumentation that came in around the end of Texas Hold'em going into Bodyguard that started to feel again, that more popish, country type style, a little bit more upbeat.
Bodyguard is going to be amazing to hear live. It's going to be a great live.
Exactly.
Live
and I thought the very same thing. But like I said, Texas Hold'em, the end, Bodyguard started to kick up to me. But then, she kind of slowed it back a little bit, went to more of the thought provoking songs. And I was like, it's really not my shit right now. I didn't like the Miley Cyrus song originally, but when I went back to it after I heard the rest of the album, it started to grow on me a little bit more. It's a beautiful song. But
Miley might have bodied her too. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I ain't touching that one. But I will say, I need to apologize for the way that I reacted to the clip that you played. Because, Riverdance. And then Riverdance going into, was it Two Hands to Heaven?
2 Hands to Heaven. Two Hands to Heaven is my shit.
Shout out Terrius Nash, man.
Yeah.
Like, gotta put some respect on it. And then going into Tyrant, those are like the only songs that I had saved. But I do appreciate what she did on this album of trying to, unplug. I think this is like a really crucial point in certain people's lives. And she got kids. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really cool for her kids to maybe listen to this and not be put in that box of like, oh, my mom's an R&B singer, or my mom just makes like, oh, dance music that people can dance to. Like, that's what kind of echoed throughout my mind listening to this album of, her kids get to experience their mom as an artist, being able to like dig into these other genres and experiment with them and appreciate them and start to soak in that genre. We know how we felt growing up when we heard Linkin Park. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was good. Like, we liked that music. Yeah. It might have been most of in the Black community, first experience with like rock music.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people tuning in as Beyonce fans, it might be their first time listening to, country styled music and really like soaking in some of these country songs and being able to appreciate what she did with the artistry of being able to turn it into something that you can listen to. It's not just what you think about when you think about like regular country music. It's something that she created on her own or with the help of other country artists. And it's like kind of like a fusion that helps you consume it better if you're not necessarily a country fan. So overall, I would buy it for the sake of like that same point of letting people consume country if they don't really like country as much, but they have like other taste in minds, like of R&B and pop and stuff like that. It's definitely a good album to kind of, get your feet wet a little bit, soak it in a little bit, take it from somebody that you trust. You trust Beyonce as an artist. Not everybody can make an album like this. Not everybody can just go on and start doing like different types of genres and it goes well. We've seen it happen with JT making, I even know what that genre was when he went to the woods and shit. But
Man in the Woods.
We saw
you were talking about City Girls.
Oh no, I'm not.
She's stepping out too. She might be my Wicked Radio today. But
okay, that's fair. But overall, I would buy it for the sake of kind of getting someone into country. I'm not gonna go back to it in terms of streaming wise as much. It's really just like Riverdance and Two Hands to Heaven for me. But those are probably the least amount of country in those types of songs, maybe. So. Overall, though, I'd probably get this album 6.57. Go ahead. What you think?
So coming into the album, you guys know I love country music.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I like specific kinds of country music. I like pop country music.
Here we go.
I like catchy hooks. I like simple melodies telling the story. That's kind of my shit. Right, so yes, the Darius Ruckers, the Dan and Shay. There's a ton of. I have a whole country playlist that's like 4 hours long. Fire, I could just run that shit on shuffle. I love it. I think what that led me to was coming into this album with a certain level of expectation, and when those expectations were pretty much dashed immediately, because this album does not sound like the country that I'm used to. It doesn't sound like the country that most people are used to, even country fans, I should have known from the Dolly Parton stuff and the, Linda Martell and Willie Nelson. They don't make pop country. They make kind of bluegrass. Like, this album is much more in line with like Delta blues than it is straight up country. And I think the reason why she had to come in and say this is not a country album is because I think people were expecting like the Miley Cyrus style yeehaw type country. Mm-hmm. And nah, this is more like bluesy than anything, right? There's very There's very like distressed chords. Like it's honestly not an easy album to listen to. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to be very, very into music like theory almost to like really, really dig into what she's doing. She's not giving you simple melodies. She's not giving you simple arrangements. You're in that's kind of incredible for an artist as big as Beyonce to make such a experimental album, and especially experimental in not just technology. She's not making a fucking Travis Scott album. She's taking a genre that none of her fans are familiar with. None of them, honestly, you know, and she's challenging us as listeners to really, really come to an understanding with her, come on this journey with her. And honestly, that's what all the greats do. They're like, I don't really give a fuck what you thought I was going to do. This is what we on. And y'all need to catch up. You know what I mean? And I've really appreciated that about the album. With that said, the first listen was not enjoyable for me. It was completely not enjoyable. I listened to it waiting to like it, and it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? It just never really happened. It really wasn't until the song credits dropped, because they didn't drop for like the first couple of days. I went back to listen to it once the lyrics were uploaded, once the song credits dropped, and I kind of started digging into the actual songs and the lyrics and what she was saying and what she was struggling with on some of these records. And this album is fucking beautiful, man. Like it really, really is. And I appreciate that she gave the spaghettis, the, you know, yayas and the, you know, the river dance, just so that we got bops. You know what I'm saying? She just wanted to make sure that we had bops. But I think this was a challenging album for her to make. I think it's a challenging album for us to hear. And I think we're kind of just better off going on this journey with her. You know what I mean? And it's really cool. I'm really interested to see, because, you know, there's talk about her going on another tour. I hope she doesn't. I hope she does something more in line with like a concert album, you know, or something like that, or something that's a bit more contained.
She's definitely going on tour, bro.
We cannot keep fucking doing this, bro.
she's definitely 100% going on tour.
Now, mind you, I live in Raleigh. There's a Cowboy store right down the street. I will be there. Yeah, but bro, at the same time,
you gotta do the whole bit, bro. You gotta get the boots, which them boots are very expensive.
They're expensive, bro. This is what I'm saying.
You gotta get a belt buckle.
That genuine leather? Are you kidding?
Bro.
That shit gets up there, bro.
You
gotta buy a horse, nigga. Like you gotta, like, you gotta do the whole bit. You know, you can't just be half stepping. You gotta.
But again, I really appreciate the album, and I think she did an amazing job. My favorite record by far is actually Just for Fun, featuring Willie Jones. I think that's an amazing record. Really dig into the lyrics, and like she's kind of letting folks know like this album was, I think this is just like one of those albums where like she wanted to just make something that was on her heart and nothing else. Like nothing, no other alternative, no other like agenda other than like making something that she really liked. Just for Fun is that for me. I really love Protector. I really love Daughter. There's a bunch of really, really good records. And I appreciate Blackbird a lot. I love her putting Brittany Spencer, Raina Roberts, and Tanner Adele and Tierra Kennedy on the project. Those are 4 black women who do country music. And if y'all want country bops that's more in line with what you think about music, and just kind of listen to Tanner Adele's album, listen to Raina Roberts' album. They're incredible. They're more in line with pop. They're more, you know, if you can listen to Morgan Wallen, if you can listen to Miley Cyrus, you can listen to Raina Roberts and Tanner Adele. And they both fine as fuck. So shout out to them. But I thought the album was really well done. I'm going to give it an 8. I would buy it because I just really respect artists really, really going there. and I appreciate it. So I would definitely buy it. I'd give it an 8. I'm probably not gonna come back to every record because, like I said, it's difficult. It's very similar to Mr. Morale for me. Like you have to be I have to be in a certain mood to like dig that deep,
I don't know.
and that's just not always the mood, you know. But it's a dope album. It's very dope. I'm very proud of her for being this brave. It's incredible.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because now I'm just thinking like logistically. I'm thinking about like how it's going to be rated, where it's going to play, if it's like what songs we're going to play on the radio. Do you think that most of this album plays in like middle America, like those types of like, you know, you're riding through, you got radio, right?
Yeah.
And those are the type of songs that come on like the country radio stations and you know, songs that are kind of like just thrown in there. Do you think that these, like some of these songs get played on that type of radio station?
I think Texas Hold'em, which was a good lead single, I think that does. I think maybe the Jolene remake does.
Yeah.
I think
the Miley Cyrus song.
Miley, maybe.
Yeah, the two, Most Wanted.
Even the Post Malone song. I mean,
even though I also don't like
to,
that song.
They're just too big of names to not. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Post Malone on a country album. Oh, hee haw. You know what I'm saying?
I think but you know, listen, they've rejected this album, and the thing is, she knew that they would, and she kind of was trying to like almost make a point. And again, I think it is similar to Mr. Morale, where Kendrick was like, I kind of don't want this album to be super like catchy and shit like that. Like I kind of just want to, you know, say what I'm feeling more than anything, you know. So I think it's funny that people. The one thing I do think is funny is like people talking about like the petty narrative, like she's a petty Virgo. She's literally only making this album because she didn't like how she was treated when she went to the CMAs. So she just dedicated the last 10 years of her life to learning everything she can about country music just to make this album, which, you know, is very on the table.
Yeah, possible. And also, she does kind of have some of those like lyrics of, you know, I forgot, was it American Requiem or another song where she was kind of talking about how they're saying like, yo, she's like, oh, I'm from Houston, yo. Like people saying I'm not country enough. And now they're saying like, oh, it might be too country or something like that. It's like, where do I fit in this at all? You know what I'm saying? Like I know country. You know what I'm saying? I know country music. And so like, where do I fit in this? So, yeah, no, I think it increases her reach. You know, even though she's Beyonce, I know we look at her as like already one of the biggest stars ever, but I still think that because of the algorithm and because of just, I think life of where things get in certain plays, like certain Renaissance songs weren't playing in certain parts of America. They just wasn't playing on the radio as good as they were, as good as they can. There's a very type of like that played more in certain hot spots. And this album has more opportunity to play in like those other places throughout like America, but also like other places of the country or other places outside of the country who have like more of that country style that you can still consume that music. Like it has more of a chance to play to a wider audience. Wider, not whiter, but wider audience. So that's just something I thought about. You know, I'm always like in for people who are trying to kind of increase their range. Yeah. You know, because it does suck having to be a part of just one, you know, sector of the world just because of the sound. But it's just how it is, yo. Like there's shit that doesn't pop up on our algorithms because we're just not into it. You know, everything is tailored for us. And yeah, this is going to be tailored for some other people. And
do y'all think she was successful in what she set out to do? Because we do talk about that a lot as far as like stylistically, like the album that the artist wants to make. Like, do you think, I mean, obviously she has all the resources in the world and she's a great musician herself, but do you think
this is ultimately where she wanted to land. We've seen Beyonce be a perfectionist on so many, other things, whether, something as small. We've all seen the clip where she's getting at the dude about the lighting during her show. Like, hey, the lights are supposed to come on here. I told you this yesterday. Like, so, you get that perfectionist vibe from her. She's a ultra mega star. She's been in this industry for a long time. She knows what a good song sounds like. So I think at this point, though she may not have too much experience making music for the genre, I think she ultimately, like you said, she's from Houston. She knows what good country music sounds like. And even if she maybe doesn't, I'm sure she has the right people around her that do. Like you mentioned all the people that were in the studio with her for Blackbird. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the genre, so I don't remember the names. Sure. I'm sure all those women, Beyonce played them the whole album, forward and backwards, see what what they thought. And I'm not sure they gave her the thumbs up approval just because it's Beyonce, but I would like to believe that, they believe that she made a solid album. And it may not be 100% country, but I think that's a good thing, personally.
And you can tell it meant a lot to her. You can tell it meant a lot to her to create this album and just be accepted as the artist that she is, to be able to create what she wanted to create. That's
Grammy?
That's really thick fit.
I think she's nominated. I don't think she wins. And not for country.
I think she's nominated for Record of the Year. I think she gets nominated for. Is this labeled as a country album, like in the genre space? I'm not sure how much control they have over that, but she's all over the album saying, "Oh, this isn't. No, what genres? What are genres?"
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like
again, it is
what
very
she decided
tough.
to do with it.
A lot of people are having backlash to the fact that some of the album reviewers are saying like this isn't country, like they're just flat out saying like this isn't country music. And I understand what they're saying, but I think that's kind of her point,
Okay.
So,
it's not up on Billboard or anything yet, right? Is it too early still?
Nah, it's got to be. It came out last weekend. Came out last Friday.
There's a country side of the Billboard maybe, so we could I'll check over there. We could keep talking.
I'm looking at social media, and so far the people that I looked up, I looked at Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton, but I also looked at Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus, she shared the album, like it's a post on her page. Willie Nelson hasn't, and Dolly hasn't.
Willie Nelson's 80 years old.
It's still social media. It's still sure. Like, the people that follow Willie Nelson are interested in Willie Nelson music. So it's only right if you want to share it and kind of spread out. Like somebody's on his team. If he's not sharing the post himself, somebody on his team has the ability to reshare something that he was a part of.
I think that's what's going on. I think that's it.
And they didn't do it yet. And I don't know if they will because it's been a week already, and Miley already did it. So I'm looking at just looking at some of the reviews that I've seen. While it's impossible to fault Cowboy Carter's ambition, it's sometimes a bit too sprawling for its own good. 80 minutes is a long time for an album, and some tracks inevitably sag a bit, especially in the middle section. If we got 10 to 12 tracks in the vein of 16 Characters or Most Wanted, Cowboy Carter could have been a slam dunk. Unfortunately, the record stands as a bloated mess that doesn't fully know what it wants to be. Cowboy Carter is a worthy entry in an ambitious trilogy, but it isn't a country album. It's a Beyonce album, and what that means keeps getting bigger. So, again, it's like some people get it, and some people are just like, this is too much. This is like overwhelming. Right. So again,
it's not what I came into here for. And like you said it already, like some people, fans of music, will go into this album and accept it better than just people who are just straight up country fans.
Right. Exactly. Fully agree with that.